Yes, consuming too many carbohydrates, especially in the form of refined starches, can significantly increase inflammation in the body. While carbohydrates are often framed as essential for energy and brain function, the type, quantity, and frequency of carbohydrate consumption matter profoundly. When diets are dominated by processed carbs such as white bread, pasta, crackers, pastries, and sugary cereals, the body's internal balance is disrupted in a way that promotes chronic, low-grade inflammation. This state of inflammation isn't always felt immediately, but over time, it quietly erodes health, worsens existing conditions, and accelerates the development of new diseases. Refined carbohydrates are stripped of fiber and nutrients during processing, which makes them easy for the body to rapidly digest. This results in a sharp spike in blood sugar, followed by a corresponding spike in insulin. While this may seem harmless when it happens occasionally, the repeated cycle of blood sugar surges several times a day, every day, leads to cellular stress, oxidative damage, and an overactive immune response. This is the biological foundation of chronic inflammation. When the immune system senses these constant fluctuations and the damage they cause, it enters a state of constant alert, releasing inflammatory cytokines that circulate throughout the body. These inflammatory molecules contribute to the progression and worsening of many chronic diseases. One of the most common examples is arthritis. For individuals living with joint pain or inflammatory autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, high carbohydrate consumption, especially from processed starches, can exacerbate symptoms. Increased inflammation in the joints leads to greater stiffness, pain, and swelling. While many people try to manage their symptoms with painkillers or anti-inflammatory drugs, few are advised to examine the foods they're eating that may be quietly fueling their suffering every day. Skin health is another area deeply affected by inflammatory responses to carbohydrates. Acne, eczema, and other dermatological conditions are increasingly being linked to diet, specifically high glycemic, carb-heavy diets that flood the bloodstream with glucose and spike insulin. Elevated insulin increases androgen hormones, which boost oil production in the skin and lead to clogged pores and bacterial overgrowth. Simultaneously, inflammation triggered by these hormonal changes aggravates the skin barrier, leading to more frequent and severe breakouts. For many individuals, eliminating or greatly reducing refined carbs results in a dramatic improvement in skin clarity and texture, a visible sign of the deeper systemic relief happening within the body. But the danger of chronic inflammation from excessive carbohydrate intake goes beyond skin and joint problems. It's a central factor in the development of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, and even some forms of cancer. Inflammation affects the lining of blood vessels, making them more prone to plaque buildup. It interferes with normal liver function, leading to the accumulation of fat and toxins. It disrupts insulin signaling, worsening insulin resistance and promoting further weight gain, especially around the abdomen, where fat is more metabolically active and inflammatory. The more refined carbohydrates are consumed, the more this vicious cycle is amplified. What's particularly troubling is that most people consuming these high-carb diets aren't aware of the damage being done. Because inflammation is often invisible in its early stages, individuals may go years or even decades with elevated inflammatory markers like CRP, C-reactive protein, TNF-alpha, or IL-6 without ever realizing it. They may blame their fatigue, brain fog, recurring skin issues, or worsening joint stiffness on aging, stress, or genetics, never suspecting that their daily meals, built around white rice, bread, cereal, pasta, or sweets, are the underlying cause. Compounding the issue is how socially normalized these eating patterns have become. Carbohydrates are inexpensive, widely available, and deeply woven into cultural and familial traditions. Yet, the human body was not designed to handle such relentless sugar exposure, especially from artificial and nutritionally empty sources. This constant barrage leaves the body in a perpetual state of repair, with immune cells overworking and tissues failing to heal fully. The result is a slow, often unnoticed progression into chronic disease. Reducing inflammation caused by carbohydrates doesn't require eliminating all carbs, but it demands a conscious and often dramatic shift away from refined starches. Swapping white bread for whole grains, replacing processed snacks with vegetables and legumes, and focusing on fiber-rich, Low glycemic foods can give the body a chance to calm the inflammatory fire. But without that shift, the body remains under siege, day after day, meal after meal, by a flood of sugars it cannot control, and by inflammatory processes it cannot shut off. So yes, too many carbohydrates, especially refined ones, absolutely can and do increase inflammation. And the consequences of that inflammation stretch far beyond temporary discomfort. They set the stage for a host of debilitating, lifelong conditions that rob people of energy, function, and quality of life. Ignoring the link between carbs and inflammation is not just a dietary oversight, it's a serious risk to long-term health.